lists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Good evening, I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. The founder of a domestic abuse charity has told GB News she felt like she was being interrogated during a reception at Buckingham Palace. Ngozi Fulani described comments made by Prince William's godmother as unacceptable, and she was shocked by her behaviour during a royal reception. Lady Susan Hussey was forced to apologise and resign for repeatedly asking Ms Fulani where she really came from.
I mean, if you want to find out something about somebody, you ask a question once or twice. Once you've got the answer, you move on, right? And because this whole thing is about domestic abuse, there are other questions. But when the first thing she did as well is to take my hair and move it out of the way. That's the first thing. No hello, no nothing. You just actually, you know, and I've never done that. I really think that we need to respect people's personal space.
Ambulance waiting times are higher now than they were at the same point last winter. New data shows nearly a third of patients in England had to wait more than half an hour to be handed over to A&E last week. An average of 13,000 patients were also stuck in hospital beds each day despite being ready to be discharged. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says investing in social care will help ease the burden on the NHS.
I want to see ambulance waiting times come down, and that's why, in spite of the difficult decisions we've had to make, we've put more money into the NHS to help address the waiting times that people are experiencing. One of the ways we're going to do that is by moving people out of hospitals, back to their homes, back into the communities, and that's why we've invested in social care, because that money will help provide more capacity, and if we can free up those beds, that will stop some of the delays that we're seeing.
GB News understands more than 44,000 migrants have crossed the Channel so far this year. That's after around 200 people made the journey this morning. The overall figure is significantly higher than last year's total, when almost 29,000 people crossed. A surge in the number of people attempting the trip this week coincides with better weather conditions. And the Christmas tree lights have been turned on at Trafalgar Square. Crowds gathered to see the lights go on this evening. The tree is an annual gift from Norway as a thank you for support during the Second World War. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News. Now it's over to headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. I'm Andrew Doyle and I'm joined tonight by big doggers Josh Howie and Leo Kearse. We've got a whole lot of stories for you in all shapes and sizes, but first, let's have a look at those front pages. We start with the Daily Mail now, and they run with bonkers COVID plan to release prisoners. The Daily Telegraph goes with number 10, rows back on university free speech. The Guardian runs with NHS union chiefs meet to plan joint Christmas strike. Of course they do. The Times goes with halt strikes with truce, rail union urged. The Daily Express, this is a story that's coming up on a lot of the papers now. Harry, do you really hate your family so much? And finally, we have the Daily Star here. Netflix kerfuffle. That is a word that is not used often enough. I like that word. Publicity-shy couple share most intimate secrets with 8 billion people. And those were your front pages. OK, we're going to kick off with the front page of Friday's Telegraph. Josh, what you got for us?
We've got loads of stuff. The Telegraph just packs the news in there. There's stuff about Total, which is the French oil giant, they're not going to be investing now in the North Sea because of these taxes that Sunak's put on. Biden is saying to Putin that I'll chat to you if you leave Ukraine. You got Boris Johnson, DiCaprio having a massive war against each other.
And we should say for the viewers at home, these are all the little stories that they pack into the bottom of the front cover.
I'm reading them like that.
Yeah,
I've
but
got
the main story.
Well, they've got a big photo there. We are going to talk about Meghan and Harry a bit, although that particular story is actually more interesting than just Meghan and Harry. It's also about Rishi Sunak basically coming out with the sort of Lady Susan Hussey thing and just saying that racism needs to be confronted wherever it appears or whatever, and then he's saying, but no comment. Well, it's like, well, that's a comment.
Yeah.
That's a comment in and of itself. But yes, the main story is number 10, Roseback.
Roseback.
Is it Rose?
It's definitely Rose.
Roseback. Well, you argue while you're running.
I know, it's the university. I didn't get it, yeah. Number 10, Roseback on university free speech. This is the bill that was a quite, I think, a necessary bill. I think you would agree with me that would sort of guarantee free speech at universities because you've had a lot of speakers who've been shut down over the last few years. Yeah. And it's gone up to the Lords and it's come back. And what they've sort of put this amendment on it that says that you can only, and what this bill would have done was allow people who've had their speeches cancelled to then essentially sue universities or to take it further.
But the Lords have said no.
The Lords said no, and instead saying that you can only do that once all the other complaints procedures within the university have been exhausted. And people like Joe Phoenix, who you probably covered on your...
I've interviewed
who worked at Open University. She was sort of hounded by these trans activists. And she's basically saying, look, if I'd had to... This allows the universities to just keep on kicking it into the grass.
Right. I mean, this is the thing about
get banned from Open University. It's on
Turn off the telly.
TV at 2 a.m.
She was harassed quite exhaustively by members of staff and students at the Open University to the extent that she ended up with PTSD, a very, very serious case. So, I mean, look, the point about this is I've always been a bit uncomfortable about the idea of a legislation that sort of says you must have free speech. It feels a bit weird, you know.
Yeah, forced.
Forced free speech. On the other hand, we did sort of reach a point where incidents like Joe Phoenix and Kathleen Stock at the University of Sussex, it was getting to the point where student activists were effectively bullying and harassing members of staff, and the university authorities were doing nothing about it. So it does look like something was needed. But this is a weird amendment, isn't it, Leo? Because the Lords are basically saying, you know, as Josh says, you have to exhaust every avenue, but also you have to prove that you've lost out financially. But financial loss is not the point. No one makes money from appearing on university campuses.
People get paid, I'm assuming.
Visiting speakers, not generally.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, what's the point in doing it then? Why are they complaining?
Altruism.
Altruism?
When I speak at universities, I do it for free because it's for a good cause.
Let me just tell you right now, I would not do that for free. That's mental. That's like doing work. But this is just bringing it into line with other legal legislation. If you want to sue somebody for defamation, you have to prove to the judge that you've exhausted other avenues of mediation and trying to resolve it outside of the courts before you bring it to the court and bring this sort of onerous task to the courts to deal with. And also you have to prove that you've suffered material loss.
But you don't think there's a problem with students not being able to invite certain speakers because the universities won't let them?
Oh, a huge problem. But I think it's like a lot of things. It's not something that you can really legislate against so much. I mean, it's good that there's some legislation there that'll help nudge it and help provide retribution for cases where there has been that hounding on campus and nothing's been done about it. But this will just encourage the cancellation to be pre-cancelling. So they just won't book those problematic...
Well, we've already got that. We've already got that problem. We have that preemptive problem at the moment. But Josh, I mean, is there an issue here that, you know, effectively, like we say, it's not easy to sort of legislate against this sort of stuff. Is it a cultural shift among the student mindset? You know, that they don't try and cancel speakers, they go along and disagree. That would be the way to
that would be nice. But I think actually what this bill would help is hopefully give a bit more backbone to the people running the universities who can instead point to legislation and say, it's in the law, we have to have free speech. So if there's something there that then they can point to and say, hey, guys, little students, I'm with you guys. OK, I love you guys, but...
Why are they American?
That's how I speak to my kids. Hey, guys.
OK.
I love you.
That's creepy. So let's move on to Friday's Times now. Leo, what's on the front of the Times? What are they running with?
So they've got a big picture of the Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, saying they've become the Kardashians.
Was that for Harry or Meghan or both?
Both.
Yeah, they're doing all this, like, PDAs, public displays of affection.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're going to cover that one later on.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that.
I'm going to cover it later on.
But, oh, God.
Gosh, Howie.
I'm so glad these are laminated. But yeah, basically, the ministers have urged the rail union to halt the strikes, rail strikes, with festive truce. So they're saying it's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. It's Christmas time. We let in light and banish shade. So why are we having these?
Beautiful, mate. What a beautiful song. It's so musical.
Why are we having these? And they've got a good point. It's Christmas. It's literally Christmas
there are
time.
so many
Why would
countries.
How many times are you going to say it's Christmas?
Huh?
How many times are you going to say it's Christmas?
Look, well, do they know it's Christmas?
I'm guessing so. I'm guessing the whole point is that they're deliberately doing it at Christmas to mess up as many people as possible and to give them the most power.
That just shows how evil, how despicable unions are. They're not doing it out of any altruistic. They're not doing it because they deserve it. They're doing it because they've got us over a barrel.
What do you think about this idea? I mean, there are other countries where they have to have, by law, a minimum service on public services, such as transportation, which means that the strikes, however, they're still annoying, but they don't completely grind the whole city to a halt. Wouldn't that be the way to do it?
Yeah.
There we go. We've solved it.
Yeah, that make sense. I mean, I think there are strikes now happening not with just in this industry, but across the board every day now till Christmas. And of course, look, I sympathise. Look, if you're going to hold a strike, you want it to have impact, i.e.,
what about Christian charity? I mean, the postal strikes are a nightmare already.
But it's going to cost all these businesses, like what they're saying, it's going to cost like £1.5 billion. All these struggling businesses coming out of COVID, all the hospitality, all the parties that are going on. People at comics, how many gigs are going to get cancelled for that? Actually, I drive, so...
Actually, yeah, this is great. We should also have a petrol station strike, so comics can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Comics can't go and strike. Can they really? I mean, that's not going to work, is it?
Can't afford to.
No.
Yeah, I don't think you could reduce comics' pay any further.
No, and to be honest, with most modern comics, if they go on strike, it'd be funnier just to watch an empty stage, wouldn't it? Let's be honest about that. Anyway, I'm not popular on the circuit. Let's move on to the front cover of the Daily Mail. Josh, what do we got now?
Well, I just got to say this photo at the top, because we are going to talk about this story in the next paper, but you've got to please take in that photo there of Kate looking in black and white and evil. This
really
is from
evil.
They've
doctored that. She doesn't.
This is from the trailer, and then you've got Meghan. So that gives you a sense of the trailer. But that was the worst cut within the trailer. It was so horrible and ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to talk about that in a second. But the headline is that we are going to talk about is bonkers COVID plan to release prisoners, and this is Matt Hancock's diaries, I guess, being rushed out. It's probably being written on the plane as he comes back now.
Oh, he didn't keep diaries. He's doing it right now.
Yeah,
he's got a ghost diary making it all up.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at those tweets.
Yeah.
And whatever he was sending out at the time, WhatsApp messages and whatnot. So this was one of the many things that was sort of being discussed were to release prisoners.
OK, explain that to me. How would that help the situation?
What it would do would be that they wouldn't all die in prison, I guess, or that then it would release staff, maybe. I mean, look, let's not pretend that the government knew what it was doing at all during that part.
Surely the whole point of going to prison is you might die of a virus.
I don't think that is the point.
Is that why we send people to prison?
You might get shanked with a sharpened pork chop.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
I haven't been there for ages.
That's why people don't want to go.
So it should be a deterrent.
I mean, I think some prisoners could have been released. You could have released burglars because everybody was at home, so you couldn't burgle any houses.
Yeah. This just sounds like a non-story, doesn't it? It sounds like, this was a plan that was sort of vague.
It sounds like the Daily Mail have exclusive access to his diaries.
Yeah, but why is this front cover news? It sounds like it's publicising
they've paid a lot of money.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
They've paid a lot of
money.
money.
What do you bet that the diaries will be serialised in the Daily Mail at some point?
Yeah.
No, that's what it says here. The diaries will be serialised exclusively in the Daily Mail from tomorrow.
There we go.
Thank you, Daily Mail.
Let's move on to Friday Star. Leo, they always, run with something a bit left field, but they've actually gone with this story about Meghan and Harry.
Yeah, and talking of people paying way too much money to serialise something, so Netflix have paid way too much money to run this documentary, which has been years in the making because there's nothing interesting about them really. So it says a great headline, by the way, in the Star: publicity-shy couple share most intimate secrets with 8 billion people.
That's a real an onion.
Yeah. Because Harry and Meghan always say, "Oh, why is everybody giving us all this harassment and focus and stuff?" Meanwhile, they've got an OnlyFans you can pay to see.
So we should probably say, though, like, so this advert that Netflix have put out today, I think, or yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it shows Meghan and Harry in various snapshots of, you know, contentment and married, happy life. And then they're crying.
Yeah.
And then you see Kate looking like the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, may as well have had the Psycho soundtrack from the shower scene at that point. Now, but we don't know what's in it. I mean, it might be very sympathetic and it might be just a very unfortunate, unflattering shot of Kate.
No, it's it looks like they're going out. I heard that they would or I read somewhere that they were begging them not to release it or to release it later or to do all these cuts. So obviously they really went for it, and now they're trying to pull back. And I think the thing is they're too far. They're committed. They've got the book coming out as well.
So have they made amends in the interim?
Well, it looked like they were going to make amends, and now this stuff is coming out, and it's like.
But surely William must have something on Harry. Right, everyone's got something on their family.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've all got something on Harry. I mean, he dressed up as a Nazi. I mean,
no, he dressed as Kanye West.
But what I loved about this trailer, the Netflix trailer, was Meghan Markle. She's crying and she's like, she literally picks up a Hermes blanket and blows her nose on it. It's like, you know, she's like, I'm so oppressed. It's like, you know, like wiping her face with Fabergé eggs. It's come on. Like,
but also when she says, "Wouldn't you like to hear the story from us?" or whatever.
No, I wouldn't. I'm really bored of them.
Yeah. Well, also, you don't know what's going to be the truth or not. We know that she's fibbed a whole load of times about stuff.
Yeah.
The idea that this is the truth is ridiculous.
I'm not going to watch this. It's going to.
I'm definitely watching this.
I want to hear the story from GB News, from like Nana Okoye or someone like that. I think that's who I want to filter it through.
It's just going to be full of like utter fabrications. You may as well watch that Ancient Apocalypse thing on Netflix. That'll be full of more facts, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, just if the audience don't know, because they've got these little bars on their eyes, that's Meghan on the right. Yeah. Just in case you're getting confused.
Why are they disguising their eyes?
Because they're the portal to the soul.
There we go. There we go. That's the Daily Star being metaphysical all over again. We're going to end part one at that juncture. But join us for the next section where we achieve peak GB News. We've got COVID, Brexit, Boris and trans. See you in 2.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you know, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every Friday and Sunday night from 9, it's Mark Dolan Tonight.
We're on the same page again. There's something weird happening.
Let Ian finish. Don't be such a cranky.
That mini budget was the tip of the iceberg.
And on Saturday, my show just got bigger. From 8, it's Mark Dolan's Saturday Night In.
You can't govern a country if you can't speak. Stop talking.
My God, we reached the end. I've never been early in my life. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
And it's about standards and public life. No, I'll tell you what's hypocrisy, Narinda.
I guarantee you there'll be no spin.
We believe in the UK.
No bias, no censorship.
It just doesn't make sense to me. He wasn't doing his job as Chancellor.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton Tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Andrew Doyle, and I'm joined tonight by hairless terrier Josh Howie and Scottish deerhound Leo Kearse. Let's kick off with Friday's Daily Mail now. Leo, has the Chinese government finally met its own match? Its people?
Yeah, so President Xi Jinping appears to be backtracking on his draconian COVID restrictions. So there have been protests around the country, particularly in Guangzhou, which is the industrial city in China. So Beijing has signalled it's finally going to relax the country's strict zero-tolerance lockdown, full lockdown approach to coronavirus.
Zero COVID, zero
COVID.
Yeah, but they have been literally locking people in these camps and these houses. It's dystopian, scary stuff.
And these protests could have gone either way. I mean, they've decided to relax the policy.
Yeah.
Last time there was big protests in 1989, they decided to kill everyone.
Well, exactly. But doesn't this just show that no tyrant is safe, really, ultimately, because the people have the numbers on their sides. And if they want to put a stop to it, particularly in China, there's a lot of people in China.
Yeah.
You know?
And this was, Han, middle-class Chinese people. So, people who are powerful, influential in society that were protesting.
Yes.
But it's been noticeable for the hypocrisy. So people like Justin Trudeau have come out and said, we support these brave Chinese protesters who are protesting against these draconian lockdown laws. It's like, Justin, you were doing the exact same thing as Xi Jinping 3 weeks ago.
I noticed when the White House press secretary was asked about this, I mean, she said, well, we're not commenting on the actual protests themselves or what we think about them, but we do support the right to free protest.
Yeah.
But why? Why aren't you commenting? Why aren't you saying... Now, this is interesting. Why aren't very sort of prominent politicians, Democrats in America, coming out against the Chinese regime on this? Is it because they think, well, maybe we might have to do something like this ourselves at some point? Is it that they're too close to China? What's going on there, Josh?
Yeah, I think it's probably they're a little bit too close to China. They're probably afraid of their own hypocrisy being called out. But it is interesting because this goes to something, I think, underlying this sort of exasperating these underlying issues. They live in an autocratic state.
Yeah.
When their needs were being met, that was the contract that they had between the government and the people. When that got broken, and it's not just because of COVID, it's because unemployment's on the increase, and their freedoms, and they're noticing that. And so people aren't just calling for COVID restrictions to be eased, they're also talking for more democracy.
Yes.
So that's scary. So it is interesting because President Xi is very much a guy who does not like to sort of back down or admit defeat. So what they've sort of said is that there's a new situation, it requires new tasks, and they're saying that now one of the things they're going to do is they're going to allow people, instead of they're going to let them do home isolation instead of being ferried away to quarantine facilities, a.k.a. iPhone factories.
Why is this persisting so much, Leo? I mean, I thought the pandemic was over.
Well, China's vaccine rollout didn't go very well. Their vaccine's not as effective as the vaccines in this country, although more of their footballers are still alive. But I mean, this ending of the lockdown regulations could actually be bad news for Europe because of the Ukraine crisis.
Yes.
So because we've not been getting gas from Russia. I mean, we've still been getting some gas from Russia, but that's been replaced with liquefied natural gas, which is shipped in, and it's cheap because China's economy is contracted because of the zero COVID regulations.
Yeah.
So, if they stop doing that and their economy surges again, they're going to need that gas. The price is going to spike, and all of a sudden, we're not going to have any gas.
OK, well, let's move on to Friday's Telegraph now. And Josh, they say you can't keep a good man down, or Boris Johnson, neither.
No, Boris Johnson tells local Tories he will stand again at the next general election. I think it's a bit strange when ex-leaders stay as MPs, where you have
to be on the back benches, don't you?
Well, yeah, but and they ran the country. So you have Theresa May's still there, Liz Truss is still there, and then it looks like Boris Johnson. And they're saying now that maybe that part of his motivation is that he might wait for a gap to reappear to him.
Yeah, but you're assuming that they're only in it for the power. What about the vocational thing of serving?
He's definitely in it for the power. It's funny because this week he went to Ruislip Synagogue and is at Uxbridge High School, and this is so cynical. It's like, hey guys, look, I'm your local MP. Here I am. I'm visiting all the stuff. As soon as he's now got the nod, he's going to be back to America doing these speeches for $250,000. And
so here's the question, Leo: is he going to be Prime Minister again?
Well, we can't rule it out. He was nearly Prime Minister again. He got the 100 backers that was necessary, but he pulled out. He didn't. Yes. He wasn't kicked.
But didn't he pull out
for the first time?
Yeah, for goodness' sake. But he knew, didn't he, that whoever was Prime Minister next would lose. So pulling out might have been a strategic ploy, knowing that he would have a greater chance of becoming Prime Minister if he bides his time a little bit.
What, waits for Keir to get in and then at the next electoral cycle?
Because Keir will get in, do an incredibly ridiculous hash job of everything, and then Boris will be in a great position to come in and sweep in and save the nation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure Boris thinks that far ahead, to be honest.
No, he's not like 3D chess. He's not like Kasparov. He doesn't think 4 moves ahead. That's what I would do.
But backbenchers still have a lot of power.
Well, influence.
So, and a lot of influence. I mean, he'll be leading the sort of the pro-Brexit mob in Westminster.
OK, well, we shall see what happens. Anyway, we're going to move on now to The Times. And Leo, has Project Fear turned into Project Dear?
Yeah, according to this, I mean, talking of Brexit, they're saying here in The Times that Brexit has added £200 to our food bills in the UK. So the Centre for Economic Performance at the London School of Economics, I mean, that could be a more economical title, calculated there's an average £210 increase in food prices for British consumers between 2019 and last year.
What happened in between those dates that might have caused that?
That amounts to a total hit of £5.8 billion for consumers. But the consumer price inflation in the UK is running at 11.1%. Okay?
Right.
So they're saying, Brexit accounts for a big chunk of that. But that consumer price inflation is pretty much that rate across the Eurozone.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen. They're going to blame Brexit for everything, aren't they? Effectively, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but they're not. They are saying that it's specific. They are saying that, of course, there are increases for other reasons as well. But 6% of the food prices increase is because of Brexit.
All right, so
because of the extra checks, the forms that come through. Now, a lot of that has actually been replaced, like with domestic food producers. But that's cost 4.78 billion, but households have paid 5.84. So that extra billion is what they're talking about.
But people are thinking so short term here. I mean, there's so many opportunities with Brexit in terms of you could take a more protectionist view of this. You could develop a UK industry so that you don't have to import so much. All of this stuff could be...
OK, but they're just reporting the facts.
So Italy, for example, their consumer price inflation is running at 11.8%, which is higher than the UK's. So was Italy harmed more by Brexit than the UK was?
In this, all they're saying is that people paid £200 more for their food last year than they would have because of Brexit.
That, but I could...
whatever,
mate. I could say people paid £200 less. That doesn't make it true.
OK, well, then you can join the Centre for Economic Performance of the London School of Economics.
Are you sure this is not that, Josh, you're just not a little bit happy? You want Brexit to destroy the country so you can say I was right.
Of course I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still laughing at the pulling out joke.
What, from earlier?
Yeah.
You shouldn't laugh at your own jokes.
Yeah, I don't know, I was laughing at the insinuation.
That's like Tony Coward's level.
Oh, OK, fine.
Goodness me. That's pretty bad.
Easily pleased.
Let's move on now and have a look at this story in Friday's Times. Looks like someone messed with the wrong ideology.
Oh, yeah. Do not mess with the trans ideology, as we know. Oxford Union official Ellie Greaves says sorry for hurting trans people. When she says hurting trans people, she hasn't actually gone out and hit or physically affected any trans people.
She's done nothing.
She's basically...
Whoa, words are violence, Josh.
Well, and even these words I don't really understand. All she said is, I will continue to prioritise women. This is at the Oxford Union. Basically, they have a president, they have 5 vice presidents. One of them was a woman's representative. They've now changed that. The woman's officer is now called the Liberation and Equalities Representative.
Right, we should explain why. Right? So Oxford Union has had a women's officer for years, and the women's officer is there to look out for issues that pertain to women, right? But the very notion of being a woman now is considered transphobic, so they give it this whole new title, and it's not going to be about women anymore. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't change it to Wimixon, with the X instead of the E,
Yeah.
But, and she just said, I think there are still issues specific to women and female students that need to be addressed, and a women's officer is a good thing. And they all piled on her saying transphobe, evil.
Yeah.
And not only has she apologised, because you have to in a witch hunt, she's also said, I will commit to educate myself.
Oh, my God.
Re-education.
Well, she's in the right place. She's at a university.
Yeah, I don't think she needs that kind of education.
Some of the stuff she said was that provision for conditions such as endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome are not accommodated in the way I would like to see. That was
trans person.
That was seen as transphobic because obviously trans women don't have ovaries and don't have endometres or whatever.
It's violence. It's violence. Literal violence.
This is just annoying. So, everybody gets that, trans women exist. But to say that women don't exist and ovaries don't exist is because trans women exist, it just seems a complete...
I think ovaries are transphobic.
It's the
very concept of it.
She said, we need to tackle sexual violence.
Yeah.
This is some heavy stuff. She also said, I cannot apologise enough. She is right there. you will not be able to apologise.
I would say,
enough.
just don't apologise ever to these people. Just don't, because they'll get their way, and when you apologise, they smell blood.
Yeah.
And they double down, and they make your life hell.
Yeah, she's a bioessentialist.
Someone who believes that women exist is now a bioessentialist. Enough, done with this. Stop apologising, grow a backbone. Right, we're going to move on now to Friday's Guardian. And Leo, it seems like your queen is standing up to the UN.
She's not my queen. It's Nicola Sturgeon.
She's everybody's queen.
She's rejected UN concerns about the reform of Scotland's gender law. So there's a gender bill going through Scottish Parliament at the moment, being scrutinised. Although she says it's being scrutinised, Scotland's a one-party state, so it's scrutinised the same way as legislation is scrutinised in the Kremlin. But the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls, she's called Reem Al-Salem, criticised it. Because it could lead to, it could give men, bad actors or just bad people access to women-only spaces. Because it replaces the requirement to go to a doctor and go through all these stages with you can just self-identify as a woman. So I can say I'm a woman, then I'm a woman, and I can just go to a women's jail or
so
whatever.
Why is it, Josh, that Nicola Sturgeon, all of these feminist campaigners have pointed out the obvious problems with this, the ways in which these kinds of loopholes have been exploited and have led to further sexual assaults and this kind of thing. And she's saying, quite explicitly, there is no merit to these concerns. I'm not going to. She doesn't say let's talk about it, engage, let's discuss. She says no, not listening, no merit.
She has been like fingers in her ears. And then there was the event this week with a zero tolerance of violence, and she got heckled. But actually, she said something interesting. I don't know if you read. There was an interesting Spectator article today. For the first time, she kind of said something that could be construed as transphobic, according to trans activists, where she said that this could be exploited by bad actors. That's the first time that she sort of actually admitted that.
They will say that's transphobic.
Yeah, and they would say that's
transphobic. Toadfish off in Neighbours.
He's a great actor, mate.
Oh, yeah, no,
he's a good one.
Right, we have to end there, unfortunately. Part 2 is over, but do come back for part 3, when we're going to be talking about brain chips, Bitcoin husbands, and is this the future Nazi uniform? See you in 2 minutes.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel. Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12, on TV, on radio and online.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle. Your first look at Friday's newspapers. But we're going to start with the Daily Mail in this section. And do you agree with these parents, Josh?
Kind of, yeah. Or if anyway, whatever. Parents refuse to let doctors use vaccinated blood in life-saving surgery on their baby boy. They've got a little son. He needs surgery. He would have had it a few weeks ago, if not for the fact that the parents are refusing to allow the blood that's used in surgery to be have people who've had the vaccine.
So they mistrust the vaccine.
They mistrust the vaccine. And what's happening is they've been taken to court, the High Court in New Zealand, by the hospital, basically who are trying to shift the guardianship from the parents to the hospital in order for them for the hospital to go, now we're going to do the surgery. Now, the thing for me is, whether you have these concerns or not, and I got my son vaccinated, like the first one, and I actually regret that just because the effect it has on children and it's the unnecessary.
Did he have any side effects?
No, he's still bald. And he, but
definitely yours.
The fact is they already have blood available to them.
Yes.
Like these people have donated this blood who haven't had a vaccine. Just give this kid the surgery and let's have a little weeing contest afterwards.
This is the question about rights, isn't it, Leo?
Yeah.
Insofar as, do the parents get to decide what happens when it comes to the health of their child? Or are we talking about the rights of the child, which supersede that of the parent's responsibility?
Yeah, we've seen this before with, for example, Jehovah's Witnesses refusing transfusions to their child because it goes against their religion. So, I mean, it's a similar kind of situation. I know they're sort of basing this more on health and concerns about the vaccine. But I think if it's something like heart surgery that's obviously life-threatening, you've got to, put concerns about side effects to one side and get the pressing issue done.
I guess, would it be a case of just convincing the parents of the rationality there, or would it be of actually taking the law?
Well, I think we've had a couple of years of people trying to convince people that the vaccine.
Well, the thing is, but the thing is, the people are rightly sceptical in the sense of like, there's no side effects. Oh, yeah, then it turns out there were some side effects or whatever. Now, that you should be able to be open with this and say, well, that's what we felt at the time was the best and for the most amount of people, all of that stuff. But the difference between Jehovah's Witnesses and this is that there is a very simple solution that will immediately sort this baby out.
It sets a precedent. And then everybody's got to bring their own blood and it's
well, whatever. For me, it's just like, let's just get this kid healed.
Yeah. I think persuading them anymore would make it worse. Because I feel the reason I didn't get the vaccine was everybody was trying to force me to get it. It was like Jeffrey Dahmer trying to make you have a drink.
Oh, so it's just you being bloody-minded then? So because someone says you should do something, you don't want to do it?
If someone's that great an idea, why do you need to twist my arm?
Right. OK, well, that says more about you, Leo. Anyway, The Guardian now.
With your pure blood.
And are teens turning into OAPs?
Yes, they are. So the brains of teenagers who lived through the COVID pandemic are showing signs of premature ageing. So they've compared MRI scans of 81 teens in the US before the pandemic and after the pandemic. So we're not talking huge numbers here. I mean, but it's still, I guess.
Why did they do these scans? What were they looking for?
They were looking for any signs of ageing.
But why would you do that? Why would that occur to you? I know what I'll do. I'll do a study to see whether young people are ageing quickly.
No, it was more they were focusing on mental health before this.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was something that they were carrying out before the COVID. And then this is just kind of lucky that they then get to do it.
They're looking for reasons behind. So the post-lockdown group, in fact, post-lockdown adults and teenagers self-reported greater mental health difficulties, including more severe symptoms of anxiety, depression, and internalising problems.
Really? You would have thought they were more rested, not really doing much.
Yeah. But it was, it was stress, especially for self-employed people. And I think for teenagers, I mean, you really need time spent in front of a screen.
Yeah, well, that was it. My son was spending 6 hours a day doing it in front of the screen, doing his lessons in his school uniform. They made him do it in his school uniform, in the bedroom. And he's got his brothers live in the same bedroom. It was really stressful for them.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing here is whether there's a chicken and the egg thing, is whether the depression has aged their brains, or whether they're aging their brains because of the stress, and then that has made them depressed. So that's what we don't 100% know. And we also don't know any long-term impact, and we don't know if there's indications that it might have actually increased their intelligence.
Yeah.
There are other indications that this might have long-term implications because it's the same way that older people, their brains sort of deteriorate.
Well, we don't know the long-term impacts, but we know the long-term impacts on all the people who've killed themselves through deaths of despair, through suicide, alcohol abuse, substance misuse.
But we don't know
coming back.
the effects on, like, imagine teens in wars World War I, World War II, that kind of stress.
We didn't have studies back
No, we
then.
didn't. So this, you know, it's not. I don't know if it's specifically going to be the lockdown that is, or just stress, putting that kind of stress on.
But I would have thought war was worse than lockdown.
Yes, I will. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go on to Friday's Mirror now. And Josh, you like getting the latest technology, don't you?
Yes, I do. This is I'm going to be first in line, queuing up outside. Elon Musk expects to have Neuralink brain chip in humans in just 6 months.
What is a Neuralink brain chip?
Well, it's a brain chip in the Neuralink.
This is effectively Elon Musk trying to put a computer into your brain, attaching it, and this, of course, will accelerate all sorts of thought process, rationality process, and all the rest of it. But it will also turn us into cyborgs, and that heralds the end of the world.
I like how you say cyborg.
Yeah.
You say cyborg like a cyborg.
Do I?
Cyborgs!
Yeah, because they're scary, evil things. And I'm trying to replicate that.
Well, when you get the brain chip, you won't be scared anymore.
Also, every monkey that they've tested it on has reported negative health effects.
Yeah, but they did it by speaking. Hey, I've got negative health effects. That's how good it is.
You know what they did? The monkey, a monkey is typed on a keyboard using just its brain, and it typed out, it spelled out a request for snacks. So this is really going to revolutionise Deliveroo. This is all people will use it for.
You're being very flippant about this. Why are you not more frightened about this idea of they call it transhumanism, the idea of augmenting humanity so that we become more like robots, more like computers, and eventually we become extinct?
Well, he's already had a hair transplant, so it's the next step, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you should get one.
I have had one.
A hair transplant doesn't start doing...
They're not supposed to transplant it off your head.
I know, I got one onto the back of my head. Can't you see how...
No, but something in your brain is not the same as a hair transplant. Something in your brain is changing who you're no longer a human being anymore. Yeah. You're like that last Terminator film where the woman could, do incredible martial arts because she was half robot.
And this opens so many doors to... I mean, how would you have, criminal responsibility and things like that if you've got something in your brain affecting how you control yourself?
And it can be hacked.
Yeah, and it can be hacked
by terrorists.
Yeah, so hopefully there's no Chinese microchips.
You guys, I'm having a rethink.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
This should never happen.
I'll give it a year.
Elon Musk should not be doing this. He's done great things for Twitter, but he should stop playing God.
Buy the NHS next. I want to see him do for the NHS what he's done for
What he said here, he said that Musk emphasised the monkey using the test was pretty happy and wasn't strapped to the chair. And that's how I describe my wife.
Let's move on now to the iNews, the iPaper. They've got an interesting story about husbands using Bitcoin for what surely it was really invented for, which is paying less alimony.
Yes, they're hiding millions from their wives using cryptocurrency. So Erica and Francis D'Souza, this is an example couple they give, were a wealthy San Francisco couple. They got divorced. They had negotiations and arguments over who's getting what, who's getting the record player, who's getting the FTX bit wallet or whatever it is. But yeah, after 3 years of legal wrangling, a San Francisco court found that Francis had not disclosed fully the amount of Bitcoin he was holding and ordered him to pay up more than £5 million to his wife. So there's a growing industry of financial investigators who will go in and do this sort of digging, because Bitcoin, the whole essence of it is it's like digital cash, so you can hide it from the government or prying eyes or even
This is terrible. Your wife. These are people that are getting divorced and they're trying to find these ways to sort of hide money from each other. Why not just respect the institution of marriage? Make divorce illegal.
Respect it to that level.
Well, yeah.
Your Catholic side's really coming out now, isn't it?
Bring back the old ways.
They had the company, the digital investigation firm is called Cypherblade, which is so made up by a 12-year-old. But the interesting thing also about this is that isn't really mentioned is I'm wondering how many divorces were created by husbands putting the money into Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
I know loads of dads, like fellow dads, and they've all sort of were like, hey, I put a bit of money in, and they didn't tell their wives, and they've just lost so much, and they can't tell their wives about the Bitcoin.
Or, a prenup sorts all this out as well. That's the other option, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
a new coin.
True.
There's a new coin that's coming out. It's called the prenup.
Yeah, right. OK, we're going to move on now.
It actually keeps its value.
We're going to finish this section of the show with Friday's Independent. And Josh, I suppose you won't be inviting Kanye West to Hancock this year?
No, strangely not. I like Hitler, Kanye West praises. Don't cut that little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah, I did not say that. Praises Nazi during shocking Alex Jones interview. This is Kanye West trying to out Alex Jones. The disgraced rapper Kanye West, who is, I guess, now more disgraced, if that's at all possible. He was on with Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. And Alex Jones was sort of He started going on, and people, Alex Jones was sort of trying to go, look, but you're not really like a proper Nazi.
Rather than you reenact it, why don't we watch it? Let's have a look and see what happened.
You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love, us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table.
Right, every human being has something of value, and he goes on to say, and that includes Hitler. And then later in the interview, he says the phrase, "I like Hitler."
Yeah.
And it's the sinister aspect of it seems to be augmented by this strange mask that he's wearing.
I feel like it would be just about as bad without the mask or with the mask.
Well, I don't think it helps people's estimation of his mental health, does it?
No, but I don't know if you've seen some of the shoes that he's designed.
Are they pretty bad as well?
Some of them are.
What do you think about that, though, Josh? I know you've said before on this programme that you can be mentally ill, but you can also be anti-Semitic. And of course,
it brings out your.
But a lot of people have responded. Like Ben Shapiro today wrote this on Twitter. Said Yi is clearly suffering from a mental breakdown. It's an act of cruelty to have him on the air at this point. He needs treatment, not a spotlight. Do you have any sympathy with that perspective?
I have sympathy with that, but it is bringing out, like, that is coming from a deeper place. Like he has expressed these things even before he's now seemingly having this mental, like, he's been a fan of Farrakhan. This stuff that he's been into is just now he's verbalizing it.
And Farrakhan, we should say, is explicitly anti-Semitic.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like Kanye is now explicitly anti. And what we're having a dangerous thing now in America where you've got Kyrie Irving, who's a basketball player. He's doing tweets to links to Holocaust-denying documentaries. You have this Dave Chappelle did this Saturday Night Live monologue, which was very funny, but actually I thought quite insidiously anti-Semitic as Jew. And then you've just got Kanye just going full-on Nazi here. It's a bit scary.
So Josh has got a point, hasn't it? I mean, this is pretty scary. So when you start endorsing Hitler, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's quite a...
Never go full Hitler.
It's not going to get him back with Adidas, I think. They actually worked with the Nazis and were started by the Nazis or something. But yeah, I mean, it reminds me of when Diane Abbott praised Chairman Mao. But she kept her job. So Chairman Mao killed tens of millions of people.
But you're fully aware that the stigma around communism is not as...
No, Hitler was awful. He was a socialist. He was a vegan.
Can I just point out also the clip that we did see? He's talking about what they're doing with the contracts, i.e., we control all the business. He's saying we're pushing with the pornography, it's deeply disturbing stuff. The problem is he's got 30 million followers on Twitter. There are 15 million Jews in the world. When you go on this stuff, Jordan Peterson put out a tweet yesterday the day before about anti-Semitism, and you just look at the comments underneath, The torrent of proper hatred towards Jews is like unrelenting. Jews are going to be they're going to be trending. This seeps into the real world, and that's the scary stuff.
The problem with that, of course. So why are you calling for him to be censored, effectively?
Well, what I'm saying is that I'm not calling for him to be censored. I guess all I'm trying to say is that I am a little bit scared. In Brooklyn, where Kyrie Irving, you had all the black Hebrew Israelites marching. Jewish people are literally being beaten up on the streets and spat at
that is
every
what's
day.
Scary, and this brings that stuff out, right? So now you're seeing it under these comments and all this kind of stuff. But I don't think that Kanye's words have created that. I think it was already there.
Well, I think it gives just like I would argue Jeremy Corbyn did, it gives a outlet for the hatred.
And validates some of it. To see somebody so famous and so, at one time so respected saying it is bad. But I think Kanye West has got bad people around him who are exploiting him, and he shouldn't be in front of a camera.
And Lee, I wasn't dismissing your point. I do agree that we should be stigmatising the evils of Mao and communism as well, but we just haven't. That just hasn't happened. But
and socialists.
Anyway, let's move on. Part 3 is in the can, so do come back for the final section where we're going to have Corker's Cocaine Bears, Osama's son. Can you tell which part of this movie has got special effects? See you in 2 minutes.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
I think I've seen probably quite enough of Matt Hancock to last me a lifetime.
I'll also be getting to know you better, travelling to find out what you think about the politicians who are fighting for your vote.
They've got to get this country back on track.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. only on GB News, on TV, radio and online.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing! You remind me of me in the European Parliament.
But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Welcome back to the final part of Headliners. We're going to go straight to the Daily Mail now. And Josh, what's the chance of the UK bin Laden with this person?
Hey, Osama bin Laden's son reveals he wants to come to the UK. I thought I have some issues with my parents, but to be fair, they didn't test any chemical weapons on my pet puppies, which is what happened.
What he did?
That's what he did. That evil Osama.
He also killed many thousands of people.
He did do that as well, but come on, let's get our priorities sorted out. And
what's
this
happening
is
to Osama
Omar, the fourth son of Osama. Maybe they were sort of saying for a time his favourite. He's now 41 years old. He's living in France. He's living with a woman, Jane Felix Brown, who's now called Zaina bin Laden, who's had I think 6 marriages before. So that's not a red flag. And he's a painter. People buying his paintings, £8,500 each. So people, I guess, can buy them and say, "Oh, look, I own a bin Laden," and then they can keep it next to their Hitler. I imagine Kanye's probably got a couple of these.
So, and he wants to come to the UK.
He wants to come. Yeah, he said he tried to get in a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
he didn't have the paperwork sorted. He says he loves England.
Does he not know how you do it now? You don't need paperwork. You need something that floats.
I know. He lives, and he's in the right spot. He's right on the border of France.
If he wants, I mean, he's not his dad. You can't do this since.
I guess he should just have his paperwork sorted. He's married to a British national.
Right.
So, you know...
Yeah, what's the issue? And also, like, he was one of 23. Osama bin Laden had 23 kids.
Yeah.
He might be the good one.
Yeah, and he's probably the only one that hasn't been allowed into the UK.
Right.
So, yeah, when I saw that title, I just assumed he was here already, in a house paid for by my taxes with Shamima Begum.
They've got their own money.
The bin Ladens are pretty rich, I think.
Well, now that I've found out how much he's selling his paintings for...
Yeah,
let him in.
Let him in.
Absolutely, be good for the economy. Let's bring more bin Ladens over, as far as I can see. Let's take a look now at Friday's Independent and how much work will the phrase "this movie is based on a true story" be doing, Leo?
Well, this is there's a true story of an infamous bear who consumed a duffel bag of cocaine. So Georgia investigators, that's the country, the state in America, they came across a dead bear next to this duffel bag full of cocaine. Well, it wasn't full of cocaine anymore. It had been dropped out of an airplane. The bear ate it and then died. So I'm just wondering what this film's going to be about. It's just going to be about the corpse of a bear.
No, that's why I don't understand. You're making a film about a bear that ate some cocaine and died. That's it.
They're stretching out the bit between eating the cocaine and the dying.
Does he go off and hunt for some fish in the interim?
He goes and kills a lot of people. He also chats a lot of rubbish for a few hours.
Writes a few scripts.
Writes a couple. Yeah.
Again, it's one of
tells you his really interesting ideas, TV show ideas.
It says here, the bear had cerebral hemorrhaging, respiratory failure, hypothermia, renal failure, heart failure, and stroke. So we think it might have been Scottish.
Excellent. Well, let's move on now to this Daily Mail article about a man-child. A man-child is real, they say. What's this, Josh?
Yeah, so basically scientists are saying that they get less sex. If you don't do if you're a man...
Scientists get less sex.
Scientists...
So?
They're
very boring.
They are. Well, the ones who don't do any housework, essentially...
I see. Lazy men.
Lazy men, essentially. If you're then I think it's because then women do more of it, which means that they're tired and then they don't want to have sex.
Whereas... No, but this is saying that the men who just laze around, they're not sexually attractive.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's a very subjective thing.
I think that's totally not true.
You don't want it to be true?
No, I actually do the majority. It says washing dishes, preparing meals, washing and ironing, paying the bills and driving to work and school. I do that as...
That makes you sexier, does it?
Well, I actually do it and I feel like when I do it, it then makes me feel sexual, like I'm putting loads of good hours in here.
Leo, do women like men who do the dishes or are they just cucks?
No, I think women like men who are motivated and do stuff instead of sit. I think the worst thing you can do if you want to catch a sniff is just sit on the couch playing video games
with your hands down your pants.
By the way, it's Call of Duty, even if it's real manly.
That's really manly.
Yeah. But they're saying here that this phenomenon, the man-child phenomenon, is also found in same-sex relationships. And gender-diverse relationships as well. So someone taking on the more feminine role. I would always argue, and I've got a bit in my stand-up about it, how there's one person in the relationship is like a cleaner,
yes,
and one person is a tidier. I.e., you do a couple of... Well, the difference is a cleaner gets in there and actually cleans the bath, and a tidier will just put a pillow up on the and go.
So what you're describing is men and women.
But yeah, but I believe I'm the cleaner. I do the cleaning. Like my wife cannot clean. I clean. Angry.
But you're fine with it, yeah?
Clearly fine.
Well,
it doesn't seem like you're getting much sex to me.
No, I've got 5 kids. That's it. I'm telling you, it works. Do some cleaning.
Anyway, yeah, you need to chill out, Josh. We're going to move on now, finally, to the Express.
Cocaine bear!
Have movie special effects gone too far, Leo?
Yeah, so the Black Panther star's bulge, crotch bulge, was enlarged for the Marvel
Let's see it!
Wakanda Forever.
This is Namor, by the way, not Black Panther. There he is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they enlarged it with CGI or something?
Yeah, he's done some cleaning.
You can also do it with socks. I've used socks before.
Oh, we'll go. Can we go any further than this?
Fair play to him. When he was asked about it, he said, "No, that's not really me. They've beefed that up."
Right. Isn't that a racist stereotype?
What's that now?
Right there, the large, more endowed. I mean, that's
interesting. But you know how it was spot? Someone saw the trailer and then saw the real film and went, "Wait a minute, they've changed this," and then they had this sort of comparison thing.
I thought they saw the real guy in his underpants.
Yeah, no, there was a shot in the trailer of just him in his underpants.
Yeah, exactly in real life.
Oh no, but that was in real life. And then the point is,
they haven't explained why they've done it. Why have they augmented this? I mean, it seems like a really silly thing. People don't watch films for that kind of thing, do they?
It's because they're racist.
Absolutely. Well, look, that is all we've got time for tonight. I've been Andrew Doyle. Thank you to my guests, Josh Howie and
Just thinking
Leo
about that
Kurtz.
clip.
And join us tomorrow for more comedians and more news stories. Have a great Friday.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by 2 of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late-night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panelists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club. Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. There's never been a more interesting but also critical time in British politics, and I can't wait to bring you the biggest stories of the day with the best factual accuracy and also a few of my own opinions thrown in. We'll engage in passionate but always polite debate with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12 on TV, on radio and online.